Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Steven. Steven is from Atlanta in Georgia in the USA. So let's see what Steven has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good morning, Steven. How are you doing today?
I'm well.
How is your morning so far?
Well, I'm working this morning, so it's good.
Great. And what do you do for a living, Steven, before we start the game?
Yes, I work for Geico. I'm an auto damage adjuster. So when you get in a wreck, I write the estimate to get your car fixed.
So tell me a little bit about your job.
So I work for Geico. Geico is an auto insurance company. So when you get into a wreck and you have Geico as insurance, I write the estimate on your car and then ultimately cut you a check so you can get it fixed.
I see, understood. And where are you from?
Atlanta, Georgia.
What's the best part of living in Atlanta?
Atlanta is a really cool, ethnically diverse city. And we're in the middle of the South, right? So we're surrounded by, well, I like to say we're a blue dot in a red state, right? So we're surrounded by conservatives, but we this is our little holdout, right? So yeah, it's just a really ethnically diverse city. There's a lot of art here. There's a lot of culture. And for me, I like, so I live a little bit outside the city. I'm equal distance from a major city, Atlanta, to an equal distance to the mountains, without being too close to either. So
I see. And you say about it's a very conservative area. It's always been like that?
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it's the South, right? So it is what it is. But, you know, yeah, I'm not going to dive too much into politics, but
Of course. But why Atlanta sticks out, this blue out of this reddish? Why?
Honestly, there's a lot of major corporations that have a hub in Atlanta, and those corporations bring in a lot of culturally diverse people, and it's just it's a melting pot. We have literally a little bit of everything. We have a really high African American population, a high Asian population, and a high LGBTQ population. So yeah, it lends itself to being really diverse and really liberal for that reason.
It's interesting to say that because I had a few guests on the show from Atlanta, and I had someone who mentioned that, not the blue dot, that what I find very interesting, but this person mentioned about that's very conservative around the area. And he said the same thing as you just did now, that the Atlanta is very diverse, you know, there's always, it's very approachable there. Like,
so there's, just to give you a fun fact, so there's a county just south of me, closer to Atlanta. It's called Cobb County. There's a law on the books in Cobb County that if you own a home in Cobb County, you have to own a gun. Yes. Now, They do not enforce this law, but it's comical because there was a time when they were defending gun rights so strongly that they actually made a law that said you have to own a gun if you live in Cobb County. And so that's sort of just to give you an idea of what it's like outside of what we call the perimeter, which is we have a highway that circles Atlanta. So anything in the perimeter is ITP or out of the perimeter.
You literally just made my day now. I never heard that before. That's very interesting. Wow. Yeah. Okay, Steven, so before we start our journey, William and the Magic Box, tell me something interesting about yourself.
Okay. I've been married to my husband for 8 years. We are in a polyamorous relationship. So we have a boyfriend. We've been dating him since last summer. He lives in Minneapolis, which is really, really far from here. But we see each other all once a month. That's sort of our deal. The goal is to have him here living by next January. And so that's our journey. We're happy and just living our life and having a good time.
That's very interesting. So tell me a little bit about this open relationship. What's the name again?
Polyamory. Polyamorous.
So tell me a little bit about it.
So polyamory is often confused with polygamy. When you think of things like sister wives or, well, just in general with, sort of one, like a man that has multiple wives or something like that. But in a polyamorous relationship, everybody is an equal. So we're in what we call a triad, it's just 3 people. And while my husband and I are married and have been married and do have that, relationship, the love we have for Alec is equal to what we have for each other. It comes in different shapes and sizes. I know couples that do things different. There's like a V relationship where one person is dating 2 different people, but those 2 people are not dating each other. There's quads, list goes on and on. But it's I think it became more prevalent in the 80s with the when swinging became more of a popular thing. And then, there's a difference between, having sex with somebody, of course, and then having that emotional connection. And I think people, as we have explored what our own sexuality, right? So we've become more evolved in going, hey, wait, I actually have feelings for this person, but I don't want to leave my husband because I have feelings for him too, right? So what is the next logical step, and here we are.
And the thing is, thanks for clarifying that. I find very interesting when I hear the stories, because it's good for people to watch and get more educated about it, understanding it. It's amazing. And when that's you kind of both of you decide that, was like a situation that happened, or it came gradually, like through the relationship, through the marriage, said, okay, I think in the gay scene, I think, gay guys, when are in a long relationship, of course, most of the gay guys, they open a relationship, I think it's that's something very common to happen. So tell me a little bit about, so it was just like, okay, there was an occasion you guys talk about it and you decide, okay, let's do that.
So we had an open relationship, and Alec was not the first guy that we dated. We dated 2 other people before him. It didn't work out, but nothing wrong with it, just didn't. But with Alec, I met Alec first, and there's, again, just go, I guess not to be too blunt, but there's difference between having sex with somebody and having that emotional connection, and that's what it was with Alec immediately. And then of course I introduced Tyler to Alec, and I mean, I knew right away when I met Alec, I'm like, okay, there's something here, and will it ever amount to anything? I didn't know, but I was willing to take that chance. I was willing to explore it and see where it's at. And ultimately, my husband and I, we want nothing more than for each other to be happier than we are. Right. And when you both have that goal, it's just magical, and I think when I've seen relationships that don't work because they're open or because they've attempted a poly relationship, it's because they don't have that mutual goal. My happiness is not as important as his, and vice versa. And you can't, that mindset cannot be one-sided. And now that there's 3 of us, that mindset is 3-sided. We all have, I want Alec and Tyler to be happier than me, and they each want each of us to be happier than they are. And that's why it works.
Amazing. Very good. Thanks for clarifying that. I love it. It's amazing. Very interesting. Okay, Steven, I'm ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views.
Okay.
Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I have here my love. Full of random fun questions, okay? I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to move a little bit before the first question, okay?
Gotcha.
Let's do it. Okay, Steven, so just before we start the game, through the journey, if there is a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay? All very friendly. First question for you is, what's the biggest difference between you and your husband?
So I'm an extrovert and he is an introvert, plain and simple. Although he has gotten a lot better. When I met Tyler, he was very, very shy. He was very reserved, very conservative. And now he has blossomed. I was thinking about this the other day. So he actually works for a museum, and he actually does education for like elementary school children. And I thought to myself, it actually takes a lot of extrovert qualities to be able to stand in front of a group of children day after day and present. And I'm like, I wonder, I don't feel like he would have been successful at that before I came around, or at least with the Tyler I met at first. And I was just like, wow, that's really cool that he is able to that he was able to blossom into that. And I hope I was the catalyst that made that happen, but it could just be that he's just growing up and maturing, and yeah. So that's our biggest difference.
And what's the biggest similarity between both?
Biggest similarity. Honestly, we are very different in a lot of ways. The one thing that we do have in common is that we, it goes back to our original conversation. We just both want the best for each other. We're definitely opposites attract. We have different interests. We have different, these are all his books. We're in the library, by the way. If I turn the computer around, you can see the rest of the books. This place is covered. These 2,000, 3,000 books. He reads. I don't read. I refuse to read, mainly out of principle. So, we just have different interests. But he's my best friend, and I wouldn't want a life with anybody else but him. So.
Oh, sweet, very sweet. Next question. Let's do it. Next question for you is, what made you laugh this week or this month? Something that was like, wow, that's like cracked me laughing, no stopped.
So a friend of mine, I was actually at a funeral. Okay, you just have to bear with me. It's at a funeral, and a friend of mine told me this joke, and it's this really long, drawn out joke, and it has a horrible ending, and it made me laugh so hard. And I told the joke, when I tell you, 30 plus times after he told it to me. And only like 2 or 3 people laughed. And I was so disappointed because it's one of those jokes that has a lot of buildup and then just a really crappy ending. And I was very upset that not a lot of people laughed as hard as I did. I laughed for literally 3 days afterwards. Like every time I thought of this joke, it had me on the floor laughing.
I'm not going to ask you to tell me, because imagine if I don't find fun, you're going to get upset.
Okay, here goes.
Okay, tell me.
So these 3 guys in the woods, right? They're hunting, and they come upon this genie lamp, right? Age-old story. They rub it, genie pops out. He's like, oh, I've been in there so long. He's like, I am so grateful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give each of you guys 3 wishes, rather than each of you splitting the 3 wishes that you would normally get. They're like, oh, that's awesome, right? So first guy goes, hey, I want $1 million. Genie says, that's easy. Snaps his fingers. He's got $1 million. Second guy goes, I want to be the richest man in the world. See, he's always trying to one up the first guy, right? So Genie's like, pretty smart. So Genie snaps his finger and he's got all the money in the world. All right. So third guy goes, I know what I want. He said, I want my left arm to rotate clockwise for all of eternity. Genie's like, what? He goes, yeah, I want my left arm to rotate clockwise for all of eternity. So Genie snaps his fingers and his left arm starts rotating. Okay. So the first guy goes, all right, well, I want a huge mansion, 50 bedrooms, 40 bathrooms, huge, pool, tennis courts, the whole 9 yards. Genie says, that's easy. Snaps his fingers and it's done. Well, second guy, of course, wanting to one up the first guy, goes, I want the largest house in the country. And Genie goes, I see what you did there. So sure enough, he snaps his fingers and the guy's got this huge mansion with 150 rooms. And so third guy comes his turn. He's like, all right, I know what I want. He said, I want my right arm to rotate counterclockwise for all of eternity. So Genie's like, you know what? I'm not going to ask. Snaps his fingers, right arm starts rotating. First guy says, hey, I want to be married to the most beautiful woman in the world. So I know how to ask this question, so the number two guy doesn't one-up me. I'm married to the most beautiful woman in the world. Snaps his fingers, here shows up this woman. They're married, very happily in love. Second guy goes, I want to be the most charismatic guy in the world, where I can get any woman I want. Genie says, all right, snaps his finger, and he's charismatic. So third guy goes, all right, it's my final wish. I know what I want. The third guy goes, I want my head to bob up and down for all of eternity. So Genie's like, you know what? At this point, you do you, boo. So he snaps his fingers and his head starts bobbing up and down. So they go their separate ways. They come back about 10 years later and sort of reminiscing, like, hey, how are you guys been since that day? And first guy goes, oh man, he's like, it's been great. I'm happily married. I have 10 kids. I've invested this money, and now I have all this money and multiple houses. The second guy goes, well, I am the one that loaned you that money to invest, and I'm rich because you're rich, and I've been sleeping with your wife for 10 years, right? So then the third guy, of course, he's sitting there with his left arm rotating clockwise and his right arm rotating counterclockwise and his head bobbing up and down. And he goes, guys, and that's the joke. That's the joke. So it's, when I tell you, I laughed for 3 days.
The only thing I don't understand is why.
There's no point.
Okay, I'll let. It's funny because it's silly, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh dear. Hopefully people watch the interview, they're gonna be on the floor for 3 days like you did.
I hope somebody gets my joke. It's not even my joke, but man, I'm telling you, when I hear a good one, it's just like it gets me good.
Next question, let's do it. Steven, tell me before the next question, what do you like the most about your job, and what's the most challenging part?
So the definition of what I do is indemnification. So I make people whole again, right? So in my early 20s, I worked in healthcare, and it was really cool because I could touch people and make them healthy and make them happy and make them whole again, right? But healthcare is full of bureaucracy. There's a lot of red tape to deal with. But I found that working what I do, I can actually make people whole again with a checkbook. People come to me in bad situations. Nobody comes to me when something good has happened, right? They got in an accident, they're hurt, their car's hurt, their livelihood is hurt, and I get to make it all better again. One of the things I do is, when there's a hurricane or a storm, I go out. When Hurricane Ida hit Louisiana this year, I spent 30 days down in Louisiana helping people, and it was helping people. Meeting people where they are. I mean, I go to their house and they have no house, just literally a pile of rubble. And while I can't bring their house back or their car back or family members they may have lost or whatever it is, I get to put a check in their hand, and that check represents the future. It represents what they're able to, their next steps, their next meals, their next soft bed to sleep in. And to me, that's really cool, and that's what keeps me going. The most challenging part is dealing with people that have come in bad situations, right? Like, they're not happy to talk to me. I'm not always the good guy until they get to know me and realize that I really am on their side. I really do want to help them and make them better. But oftentimes I get yelled at and cussed at, and I just chalk it up to, everybody's in a bad situation. So my job is to make it a little bit better.
Okay, cool. Next question is, what scares you the most about your future?
I think so. I just turned 39. And I think what scares me most about my future is I'm starting to get to the age where I realize that I'm more than halfway done, right? So like, have I done everything I want to do? Do I have time to do the things that I want to do? And I think time is my biggest fear. My father died when he was 51. Now my father was unhealthy and made bad choices with cigarettes and things like that that I don't struggle with or deal with. So I don't think I'm going to die at 51, but I was 39. I'm like, oh my God, I'm 12 years away from the age my dad was. Like if I did die at 51, what could I do in 12 years? Would I do more than he had done? Have I done more now with my life than he had done at 39? And that's a little scary at times, and it makes me want to like cram as much as I can into a short period of time. But the reality is, like I said, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm healthy and happy, and but time is mortality manifested.
It's funny you saying that because I turned 39 the end of last year, so I'm 39 as well. And I had the other day I was thinking about, so like, my God, I'll be 40 this year. In 40 years, I'll be 80. My God, it's kind of halfway of my journey. And I was like, oh my God, I never had this thought before. And it was a bit interesting to stop by for a minute. I was like, my God, I think life is going. You know what I mean? I'm in a different, let's say, generation or a different, point of my life. That's some different priorities and things. Just I got like think to myself for a minute.
Well, maybe we're at the age where that you just asked those questions,
Yeah, totally. It came naturally. I was just thinking about, by the way, numbers for me never been an issue. I think it's beautiful. For me, it's beautiful aging. I think it's beautiful. It's a nice feeling. You're just getting wiser, Absolutely. Understanding. You see the world in a different way, and so it's so fascinating to see how you changed as well, your point of view, the way you approach life. So numbers never been a problem, but I just like for a moment just had the thought about I'll become 40 now, in 40 years I'll be 80. So I just like had this moment with myself. But anyway, next question. Next question for you is, what's the best first date have you ever been on?
I'm gonna be sappy because it's my husband. So I took him on his first date. But when I say first date, it was literally his first date. My husband, when I met him, he was 27. He had never dated anybody, girl or boy or whatever, had never been on a date. So I took him on his first date. It was nothing fancy. We met at Starbucks, as most gays do. And we had some coffee. We talked for a while. We went to lunch, and I had to run back to my office at the time. And so we ran back to my office. So we were the only ones there at the time. And so so I love Broadway music. And moreover, I also love like classical, like Glenn Miller, Frank Sinatra, things like that. And I had just heard a recording that Frank Sinatra had done of On the Street Where You Live, which is a song from My Fair Lady. And I'd never heard that cut before, and I was so excited. So I pulled it up on my computer at work as we were talking about it. It came up in conversation, and so it started playing. And I danced with him in my office. And it was his first dance and his first kiss, and there were just so many wonderful things about that day. And like I said, it wasn't anything. There was no roses or flowers or candles, but it was organic and it was special. And again, as soon as you said first date, that's the first thing that came to my mind. So yeah.
Beautiful. And who was the one who fell in love first, in your opinion?
I don't know the answer to that. I think it was pretty mutual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was him first.
I see. Cool. I'm glad this question came up to you. Very nice. I think it's very, as you said, I think first dates or, being romantic, it doesn't need to be like the rules that society tells. It need to be like something like flowers or no. Everyone has a different story. Everyone has a first moment, and that's what counts and makes special.
Yeah,
sure. Next one. Steven, before the next one, being a gay guy, did you have all this support of your family as a young age? Tell me a little bit about it.
So,
if you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. If you
no, it's fine. It's fine. So my mom and I are very close, but in my teenage years, when I came out of the closet, we were not. She took it very poorly. My dad accepted me great, but I believe he did it out of spite to my mother. It was I love my gay son, but only to piss her off because they literally lived to hate each other. But through the years, my mom has come around, and she's realized that no matter how hard she prays, I'm always going to be gay, and we are where we are. But I had, when I went to I grew up in Florida. I grew up in Clearwater, Florida, and I went to a really progressive school with a lot of gay people, and coming out was a really good experience for me. I actually feel like I became more popular after I came out of the closet. So the only really rejection I felt was at home, which sort of sucked. But it's nothing that they haven't made up for in the years since. It's nothing that I really, and I guess even my hesitation was just that it's so far removed from my memory that it's almost like, is it even worth talking about? But it's my story, and there it is. So, I just want to reiterate that anything that was done or said in the past has so been made up for by just unconditional love now. So.
And you have siblings as well?
I do. I am one of 6.
Wow, big family.
I know my parents didn't get cable in the bedroom until the late 90s, so I'm kidding. I'm the second. I have one older brother, and then 3 younger brothers. Sorry, I always count. And then 1 baby sister.
Wow. You said this joke now about the cable in the bedroom. I'm originally from Brazil. Do you know which month of the year the maternities in Brazil, they are filled up with ladies giving birth?
What's that?
November. Do you know why?
Mm-mm.
Because the carnival is in February. Actually, I was born in November. Actually, I believe I was, made up during carnival. Nice. But yeah, they have this joke in Brazil because carnival in Brazil is very, sexual. This approach. So we have this joke in Brazil that's November. The maternities in Brazil, they are all fully booked, filled up with ladies giving birth.
Very nice.
Next question for you is: what is the nicest thing a family member has ever done for you?
I'm gonna go back to my dad real quick. So, my dad and I had a real trying relationship growing up, and not that, again, obviously he's passed away. My dad and I reconciled everything we possibly needed to reconcile before he passed. So there's nothing but love. But he was closer to my older brother, and I was closer to my mom, and that translated into adulthood as well. But my father gave me my family's grandfather clock, which was made by his grandfather by hand. And it was actually supposed to go to my older brother because it was supposed to be passed down from oldest son to oldest son. And he gave it to me. And it was just a sign of, I know that you have what it takes to carry on our family name, and nothing, not that my older brother wouldn't have appreciated it or anything like that. It was just that gift that I didn't expect, because I grew up with the clock. The clock was in our home, but I always knew it wasn't mine. You know what I mean? Like I always knew that it was going to Michael, and I was fine with that because that's just the way it was. And then when he brought me that clock, I was speechless. And
Wow.
and the clock's in my living room, and I see it every day, and it's just that reminder that my dad thinks I'm worthy. You know. So
amazing. Oh, I got a bit of goosebumps now. You talk. That's amazing. Beautiful story. Beautiful, beautiful. Steven, I have 3 questions left for you. Okay, let's do it. Right. Next question for you is: what is your favorite place in the entire world and why?
So I mentioned I live really close to the mountains. My favorite place in the world is generically on top of a mountain. There's something freeing about being on top of a mountain. In any mountain, doesn't have to be one. I have a few in mind, but there's a few, right? There's something about the journey that it took to get there. There's something about the journey down that's ahead that's always easier than the journey up. There's something freeing about being able to see 360 degrees around you. It's magical. And if I would just encourage anybody that's listening to this, if you haven't ever climbed a mountain, climb a mountain. Like, it's so worth it. So that's the answer.
I love it. I think it's very interesting. Yeah. Anyway, the touch of the nature is always, you know what I mean, a powerful energy, a powerful moment. Just being in touch with the nature. You just forget about your life, the world, everything that's happening around you, for sure. 2 questions left, Steven. Before the next one, you were saying that you grew up in Florida. And how long have you been living in Atlanta for?
10 years.
10 years. And why Atlanta?
So I used to attend a church here in Atlanta. It's a gay affirming church. I used to would travel up here to the church. And then when my ex and I split up, it was just a very natural transition to come here because I already had friends and a church home that I attended. So it was a very natural transition to be here. Subsequently, I've stopped going to that church. Nothing wrong with that church. I love that church. They're very near and dear to my heart. It's just I'm in a season where that's not in my scope. But I know that ultimately that church led me here, and I know I was supposed to be here, so here I am.
You see yourself, you're well settled there. You said, okay, that's the place I would like to be for a very long time.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like I put roots here. I feel very rooted here, probably for the first time in my life. Wow. As a kid, we moved a lot. My parents were divorced, so we, house to house. And I've never really felt rooted until I've been here. So yeah.
Amazing. Next question is, what's the weirdest food combination have you ever tried?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that without answering that, though. I am the most pickiest person when it comes to food, okay? I will not try weird food combinations. Like, I just won't. Like, I will starve. I like what I like, and I stay in that scope of things, and like, I just won't do it. To the point where, like, I am like the anti-foodie. I cook at home most nights just because I cook what I like and I eat what I like. And I think I'm pretty broad, like, in that scope, but I don't go out of it very much.
And what do you like to cook the most?
So growing up in Florida, which is the southern north, very Midwestern type area, my mom always cooked a lot of casseroles when I was a kid. So casseroles are easy. You throw them together, put them in the oven, super good. But my mom has has given to me this uncanny ability to I can make a meal of anything. Like I have what I call a magic pantry, which is what my mom what I used to call my mom's. And I can go into my pantry, pull out a few items, put it in a casserole dish, and turn it into a meal. And maybe something that we've never had before, maybe just something crazy. But I have this ability to take random ingredients and turn it into an amazing meal. And again, that's a gift I get from my mother. So.
Good one. Very good. Ready for the last question?
Sure.
Let's do it. Last question. Okay, Steven, but before the last question, couples, like gay couples or straight couples, watch the interview right now, and would you like to start this experience that you and your husband are doing now as a triple? What would be your best piece of advice for those couple, in your opinion?
So 2 things. No, 3 things. Communication is key, right? We have to discuss every step of the way until we're blue in the face. Communicate how you're feeling when you're feeling. Don't be afraid to communicate how you're feeling when you're feeling it. Don't let time pass. If you are feeling something now, speak it now. That's your truth, and whether it's legitimate or not, sometimes just speaking it out loud will work as a litmus to be able to tell you, hey, you know what? Now that I've said that out loud, I realize it's pretty petty and it's not valid, right? But at least you said it. At least you put it out in the air and given it some oxygen. The second thing, which is really important, is that for us, we were an established couple that added a third. So for us, it was you get to a point where you almost have to dissolve the original relationship and recreate it. And so that all 3 of us are on the same level playing field. Now, doing that out of the gate is dangerous, right? Because there's so many unknown and uncertainties, and it's scary to think about, dissolving an 8-year marriage for a new relationship, right? But you get to a point where, if your feelings are there, if you're wanting to move forward, then you have to sort of go, okay, you know what? We're going to start over, starting right now, and this is the new thing. And then the third thing, to reiterate the first thing, is more communication. Like you have to communicate. When I've had friends that have attempted poly or are in a poly relationship, when it doesn't work, it's when it communicate. And then, okay, I'll add the 4th thing and reiterate what I was mentioning at the first thing. Your ultimate goal has to be your partner's being happier than you are. And if it's not, if there's any selfishness at all in what you're doing, it will fail. So, I think I could write a book on polyamory now that we've gone through it. And I've seen, because with so many friends and acquaintances that are polyamorous, and I've watched from afar, and then of course I'm in it myself. Every relationship's different. You can't model your relationship around mine, but I can see the signs. So
also, you're saying that now. I was wondering if the straight couple, it's straight word, they do that as well. It's very popular because it's involved or another woman or another man. So it's I'm just kind of curious now about that, how it could work, you know what I mean? That's very interesting because gay guys, you know what I mean, we kind of, it's 2 men involved, 3 men at the time, but it's a straight couple, it might be 2 girls or 2 men. It's a different story.
Yeah, I think with what I've seen with straight couples is a lot of times it's a V, where the woman is dating and or married to a man, obviously different man, or vice versa, or each person in the marriage has another significant other. Rarely have I ever seen a straight triad, unless maybe the woman's bisexual or something like that, or the man is bisexual. I mean, obviously you would have that sexual interest, but yeah.
I think it's a word that's very good to talk about. I think because, you know what I mean? I think nowadays we are so open-minded. People that are more approachable about when say about relationship, about sex, about. I think nowadays it's getting more and more popular because you need to accept, understand that, you know what I mean. Being a couple, it can always be a challenge after years and years. Of course, you know, sex-wise or it's kind of, yeah. It's a lot of talk, anyways. A lot of things. Yeah. Anyway, it's good to talk about that. Last question for you is,
all right.
If you could make up a school subject, what that would be and why?
So I work in insurance. I wish to God they would teach these kids about finances and adulthood and taxes and insurance and what you should have. So every single day I run into people that legitimately are ignorant to how to be an adult. And I think that they're really lacking just teaching kids common sense stuff. And we're having to learn by trial and error rather than education. So that would be the answer to that.
Totally. And I had somebody...
Adulting 101.
I think I had at least 2 people on the show that this question came up and they said the same thing. You know what I mean? Because how to manage your money, you don't learn that as a child. You just learn when you go through some debts in your life in the future and you don't know how to use your money, and you get a lot of that you face a lot of challenge because you literally don't know how to use that. How you never been educated about it. So it's a trick one. Okay, Steven, not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words and just tell me one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Okay.
So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like, don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game. Family.
Love.
Money.
Not enough.
Never know. Love.
Family.
One word for life.
Experience.
Sex.
Good.
Politics.
Off limits.
One word for religion.
Ew.
Fear.
Unknown.
Friendship.
Invaluable.
Okay. Regret.
None.
Success.
Necessary.
Wish.
Fantasy.
One word for happiness.
Joy.
One word for Florida.
Ugh. Heaven's waiting room.
One word for Atlanta.
Home.
One word for USA.
I'm sorry.
And the last one now. One word for polyamory.
Interesting.
Great. Let's pretend I'm going to meet your lovely husband for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, tell me the most beautiful thing about Steven, and tell me something that he still needs to improve on, to work on, what he would say.
I think he would say that the best thing about me would be my devotion, and the fact that I'm like Mama Bear, right? Like, can I cuss?
You can, but beep.
Okay. Don't mess with my circle, right? And by circle, I mean my family, my friends. Don't mess with them because I will come after you. Like, yeah.
And that's the positive or the negative?
Both.
Good one, I love it. And if I would ask, the boyfriends now in the relationship to define you in one positive word and one negative word, what he would say?
I don't know what he would say negative, but I think he would just say big heart. I feel like I've what I try to show Alec every day is that my heart is big enough for both of them.
Oh, sweet. Very sweet. Your heart got bigger after you.
Absolutely.
Let's play now, Steven and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. You can ask me a question now, Steven.
Question for you is, if you were a tree, what tree would you be and why?
Oh my Lord, I love the question. I just hit 500 guests on the show this week, and no one asked this question yet. It's amazing. I love it.
Good.
Okay, so I actually, when you said the question, the genuinely thing that came to my mind is there is a tree where back in Brazil, my state where I come from, in the city I was born, was a very small city, very small town, and I remember growing up, I saw this. I don't know the name of the tree now by head, but it's a tree where they produce the rubber. You know, like I remember the rubber. I remember the cuts in the tree, and I remember like a kind of, naturally they have this pot where they were keeping this thing from the tree to make the rubber. So I think I would like to, genuinely came this image into my head. I think it's something that brings me to my childhood, and also I remember that nowadays, as I live, so far away, and I live in a first world country, in England, in London, and we see that about rubber, that seeing this small tree, like, so was for me at the time, was such a small and like simple tree, but looking back now, it helps a lot the world. I think it brings a lot to the world, this small tree with this little pot, just coming out these little liquids that's after they would make the rubber. So yeah, I love the question. I would like to be this one, just for the fact that it brings a lot to the world. I think it's needed for sure. Yeah. Steven,
well, that's awesome, man.
Did you have a good time? Did you enjoy the interview?
I did, man. It was so good talking to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time on Sunday morning for the interview.
No problem.
Before you go, I just would like to share a positive message or a positive quote, something that inspires you in life.
Just keep your loved ones close, man. Love them, pour out on them. At the end of the day, all we have is our friends and family. Everything else is irrelevant. You can lose everything in a snap of a finger. But just keep them close, man.
Amazing. Okay, thanks so much for the interview, and all regards. Take care.
Take care, man.
Bye. Bye, Steven. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.